Okay, we're back. For part what? 3. So last time, Anansi got tricked by this cosmic alien. You remember his name, Eddie? All right. And when we ended that story, Anansi was left at the mercy of the monkeys because Eddie took all the wisdom and disappeared, right? Okay. So this is part 3. So imagine now, Anansi is in the midst of King Julian and the rest of the monkeys, and King Julian is sitting on his throne. And he says, Anansi, you've deceived us. You shipped us from our home, made us suffer 6 months while you built your empire. Now, you work for us. Anansi says, Your Majesty, I could arrange for all of you to return to St. Kitts and give you your own farm. Julian says, right. Like you think I was born yesterday? Monkey know what tree to jump on, eh? But oh snap, I forgot. You're just a spider. So you did not know not to jump on this tree. Anyhow, your punishment is this. You will ship produce from your farms in St. Kitts to Isla Abundancia weekly, enough to feed every monkey here. Your farms will bleed, your profits will drain, your name will be changed to Broke Nancy. Or I think Poor Nancy sounds even better. And oh, just then 4 monkeys stepped forward, some large, serious, mean-looking monkeys. Meet your security detail. Larry, Biggs, Q, and Mikey. They go everywhere you go. They'll watch everything you do, and if you try to trick them, you answer to me. Just like that, Anansi, the master of manipulation, became a prisoner. Now, meanwhile, King Julian is a lot smarter. He has more wisdom. He's a lot more strategic. But humility? No. You see, the ancestral knowledge made him smart, but it also made him arrogant. So he says, according to my calculations, if we increase foraging efficiency by 2%, we can reduce dependency on Nancy's shipments for within 4 months. Mo, have you implemented the patrol rotation I designed? Mo says, Your Majesty, but some of your younger monkeys says it's too common. Hey, can they not follow simple instructions? You see, Julian had changed. This wasn't the same fun, loving Julian they remember. But Julian doesn't even notice he's busy being so brilliant. But there's one monkey he's trying to impress. Her name is Merville J. Her hair in small, neat locks, walks with grace, soft-spoken but confident, ambitious, and beauty beyond your mildest imagination. You see, Julian?
He has a crush on her.
He had a crush on her for years. But you see, before Eddie's trick, he would try to impress her with some silly dances and dad jokes, and she loved them. But now, he thinks wisdom is the way to her heart. So he says to her, Merville, I've been thinking about our leadership structure. Your organizational skills are exceptional. I would like to promote you to Chief Operations Officer. You will oversee food distribution, resource management, and inter-troop communications. Merville J says, That's very generous, Your Majesty. But why all of a sudden you give me this promotion? You deserve it. Your capabilities align perfectly with the kingdom's needs. Plus, a king needs a competent queen by his side. Someone intelligent. Someone just like you, girl. Merville's smile does not reach his eyes, and she says, I'll see, Your Majesty. I will consider. Thank you, Your Majesty. She walks away, and Julian thinks, perfect! She'll be so impressed by my wisdom and this important title. But Merville is thinking, what happened to the Julian who made me laugh? Who was spontaneous, who was fun, and might I add, different? This new Julian, calculating, pompous, strategic, smart, does not make her heart flutter. It makes her heart tired. So, week 1, Anansi arranges the first shipment, 500 crates of produce from St. Kitts to this island. His profits start taking a hit, and these 4 monkeys were not playing at all, right? And then he tried making jokes with them, but they didn't really care. And after a while, Anansi tried telling stories and they did not even care. That was so serious. After 4 weeks, Anansi was like, you know what, I'm done. I have to find a way to break these monkeys. He says, hey, come. They were sitting around a fire, and he says, this reminds me of a similar situation. Trapped, being watched. I couldn't escape. Q, one of the monkeys, says, we don't need your story, Spider. Anansi says, but it's a good one. You see, I was captured by a tiger once. A huge tiger. Huge teeth like daggers. Claws that could shred a tree trunk. Big says, how did you get caught? Anansi says, you see, Tiger had been chasing me for weeks. I had stolen his favorite goat. Well, stolen is a strong word, but I borrowed it. And he was furious. Finally cornered me by a river, and I thought, that's it, I am done for. But then I said, Tiger, my friend, I wasn't stealing your goat, I was protecting it. He says, protecting it from what? I said, from the terrible storm that's coming. Haven't you heard? The sky god sent me a message that there's a hurricane coming that will destroy everything. We need to tie ourselves to trees for safety. The tiger looks, the sky is blue, like there's not a cloud in sight. I don't see any storm. He says, but of course, by tonight, devastation will be here. Let me tie you up first. Since you're bigger, you need more rope for safety. Larry says, he fell for that. And Nancy says, oh, did he fall? He fell. I tied him so tight he could not move a muscle. And I said to myself, a tree now. I'll tie myself to a tree. Don't go anywhere. And I left. And Biggs broke into laughter. He says, you left him for how long? He said, for 3 days. He was so angry. And the villagers finally found him, screaming about storms and spider tricksters. Biggs is now howling with laughter. Larry's chuckling. Even Mikey, the serious one, is smiling. Q still remains a bit skeptical. He says, that story sounds a bit exaggerated. I think the word is exaggerated. Like you make it up. And as he says, you're calling me a liar, Q? Listen, I'm just saying a tiger would not be that stupid. And Nancy says, are you stupid? Let me tell you about the time I convinced a snake that he was shorter than a bamboo stick. And so, night after night, and Nancy's telling his stories. And after a while, they start asking more questions. And the ones who didn't really like him started to fall for his charm. And by week 6, they became friends. They were supposed to be guarding him, but they became loyal. And Anansi did what he does best. He made people like him. So, by week 8 morning, Anansi gets a call. Larry actually is the one who gets the call. On the radio, he says, copy that. Understood, Your Majesty. He tells Anansi, he's like, boss, someone is coming to inspect the operation. Anansi says, who? Larry says, Julian's new Chief Operations Officer, Merville J. Big says, oh my gosh, she's important. Q says, Julian promoted her last month, trying to impress her, obviously. She's really cool. And Nancy says, this is the first time I'm hearing of this Merville J. What is she like? The 4 monkeys looked at themselves. You see, and then she shows up in the distance. She walks in with grace, not rushing, just slow, flowing, almost like she's gone into pageantry before. Nice struts, and she gets closer, and Nancy sees her here in a small, neat lux that catch the sunlight. Posture perfect, eyes intelligent, focused, beautiful. But it's more than that. There's something about her presence that makes the air feel different. She steps into the clearing. The 4 monkeys stand up straight immediately. And Anansi's time stops. He's staring, his mouth open, smitten, not breathing. He's seen goddesses before, but this one was different. Merville says, "Good morning. I am Merville J., Chief Operations Officer. King Julian sent me to assess the shipment efficiency and ensure protocols are being followed. You must be Anansi." Yes, that's me. Shipment, very efficient. Larry says to Big Box is broken. We never seen him like this before. Merville walks to the operation, checking the crates, reviewing the logs, asking questions. Professional, thorough, brilliant. And Anansi watches, completely smitten. Q has to answer her questions because Anansi cannot form complete sentences. Merville says everything appears satisfactory. The shipments are consistent. King Julian shall be pleased. I'll report to him tomorrow. She's looking at Anansi. She says, You're not talking much. Aren't you quite the talker? Anansi says, I have my moments when the company is particularly inspiring. She holds his gaze for a moment. Then the professional mask comes on and she nods to the group. Gentlemen, continue the good work. And she leaves, walking away with the same grace, and Anansi stares at her, watching her until she disappears from the view. Q says, Boy, boss, you alright, man? Anansi says, Well, where is she? Weeks pass, and the amount of fruits that were steadily coming in were declining. And King Julian notices, Hey, Nancy, talk to me here. What's going on with these declining shipments? My people are hungry. Your Majesty, the farms are failing. I can't pay my farmers anymore. They're slowly, declining. Everything is breaking. I must go back to St. Kitts to repair everything or the shipments will stop. Julian says, No farms means no food, means hungry monkeys and angry monkeys, political instability, problems for me. Plus, Anansi can't run anywhere. The 4 monkeys would be guarding him. Fine. Return to St. Kitts with Biggs, Larry, Q, and Mikey. And Merville will accompany you to make sure you're not scheming. Anansi, trying not to sound too excited, says, okay, yes, sure, she can come. She's very, very good at making sure things don't go wrong. Julian thinks he's being smart, sending his trusted officer, maintaining control, but he doesn't realize that he just sent the woman of his dreams on an extended trip with the most charming trickster in history. They arrive in St. Kitts and it's really bad. The farmers are upset. Everything is just broken, not enough fruits, and one of the farmers says, Get away from here! You tricked me! And Nancy says, Please, I need to. He says, You need to? Dude, you stole my farm, you made your millions, and now you want something? Get the hell out! But the crops, if we don't fix, I don't care! Find somebody else to exploit! One by one, the farmers slam the doors in Anansi's face. Anansi turns to Larry, Biggs, Q, and Mikey, and Merville looking so defeated. He said, Oh my gosh, this is worse than I thought. And just then, Merville steps forward. Mr. Marcus, my name is Merville. May I speak with you? Are you with the spider? No, I'm here to assess the situation. I understand your anger. You see what Anansi did. The invisible ink, the deception, that's wrong. But right now your farm is suffering. Your crops are dying. Your equipment is broken. You're not making any money. I can help. Not for Anansi, but for you and for your family. You see, there was just something about her grace, her honesty, the way she looks at him makes Marcus pause. But why would you help me, he asks. She says, because I believe in fairness. What happened wasn't fair. Let me talk about the equipment and let me find people who can fix them and get you producing again. You get to keep 100% of your profits until you recover your losses, and then we can discuss fair terms. No tricks, no invisible ink, just fairness. Marcus studies her. He sees sincerity and he nods. We shall give it a try. And Merville does this with every farmer, and one by one, She listens to their grievances and acknowledges their pain and offers real solutions, and one by one they agree to work with her, not for Anansi, but for Merville. And Nancy's watching Larry. Is like, how did she do that? How did she do that? Larry says, that's just Merville, man. She's special. See, over 3 weeks, Merville worked magic. Everything was fixed. Irrigation fixed. Farmers happy. Production soaring. And Anansi working alongside with her, honestly, for the first time. No schemes, no tricks, no gimmicks. Just helping. And something he's never felt before starts happening. He's falling in love.
Oh my God.
They stayed there for 4 weeks, and one evening they're on a hill looking over the farms, golden hour just like it is now, and everything is beautiful, and Merville speaks first. You know what's strange, Anansi? Julian offered me everything. Title, status, the position of queen, crown with jewels and pearls, and authority over thousands, but since he got that wisdom from Eddie's gourd, he's different. Anansi says, different how? Just arrogant, calculated. Everything is a strategy from now. Everything is about efficiency and big words like optimization. I miss when he was silly, when he was spontaneous, when he would do silly dances and make me smile, and he was real. But now he's trying to impress me with intelligence. But intelligence without a heart is just cold. Anansi knows this is his moment. He could lie, he could manipulate, he could scheme, but something stops him. For once in centuries, he wants to be honest. And he says, being queen of the monkeys is fine, respectable, but Merville, you could be so much more than that. I know I've done terrible things. I've tricked people, I've hurt people, I've built an empire on deception, but with you, you make me want to be better. Not because it serves a plan, but because you make me want to be a better person. One day I will be the most powerful being in the whole world, not through tricks, but through building something real. And with you by my side, we will be unstoppable. Not just to the monkeys, but to the whole world. And she says, you mean that, Anansi? This is not another scheme. He says, I've never meant anything more in my entire life. And she looks at him, and really looks at him, and she sees the vulnerability, the truth, and the honesty, and something in her heart shifts. She gets nervous. I need to leave. I need to go back to Isla Abundantia tomorrow to report to Julian. And Nancy is like, of course, it's your duty. But Anansi, I'll be back soon. She goes back. Julian says, Merville, finally, you've been gone for 4 weeks to assess some farms? She says, the situation required extensive intervention, Your Majesty. The farmers had lost all trust. My presence was necessary to rebuild that trust. And Anansi was ensuring continued productivity. Julian says, good. Efficiency. Excellent strategic thinking. You see, this is why I promoted you. You understand logistics. Speaking of which, I've been calculating the optimal timeline for our union. Based on the resource availability and social dynamics, I believe we should formalize their position as queen within 6 to 8 weeks. I have already designed your crown, 17 gems, optimal weight distribution. Julian, my worth is not defined by a crown. But of course, the crown is merely a symbol of your strategic value to the kingdom. Of course, I did ensure 17 gems. Prime number. Very significant. Merville J says, I need to return to St. Kitts. Why? What? I don't trust Anansi alone. He might scheme and pull another trick. The farmers trust me and not him. I need to maintain that trust. Julian's wisdom analyzes this and it makes sense. Maintaining control, smart. But he doesn't calculate that her heart is not here anymore. It's back in St. Kitts with the spider. Julian says, very well. Excellent strategic thinking. Go and maintain oversight and report weekly. Thank you, Thank you, Your Majesty. And she leaves, and Julian thinks, perfect. She is so dedicated, so responsible. She'll make an excellent queen. Completely missing that she already chose Anansi over him. Weeks pass. She's in St. Kitts, and life becomes beautiful. The farms are thriving. The farmers are happy. The economy is bigging. The economy is booming. You have Larry, Biggs, Q, Mikey. Everyone is happy, and Anansi is changing. He's becoming more honest. He's treating the farmers fairly, sharing the profits transparently. And so by week 16, everything is going so great. And then the phone rings. An unknown number. Anansi picks up. Hello? On the other line, it's Premier Marcus Banks. This is the Premier of Nevis. Anansi, Premier Banks of Nevis here. Lovely evening, isn't it? I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. Nancy says, Premier Banks, but what can I do you for? He says, oh, we need to have a chat about your agricultural monopoly. You see, I've been reading in the papers, watching the news, St. Kitts is getting very rich. Exports are booming, GDP rising, food prices dropping. Wonderful for St. Kitts, but let me tell you something, Mr. Anansi. What happened to and Nevis? You forget it's St. Kitts and Nevis? What about our fair share? Or did you forget we are one nation? Premier, I can explain. Oh, I am very sure you can explain. You seem very good at explaining things. Explaining how you helped St. Kitts, but explanations, those need to happen in person. Tomorrow, my office, 9 a.m. Or I go to the media about your, shall we say, questionable business practices, those invisible ink contracts. Interesting. Nancy says, "What? How did you?" Oh, somebody very interested in your activities sent some fascinating information. He said you owe him something. Goes by the name of King Julian. Julian. Merville says, Julian knows? The card stops. Everyone freezes, and just like that, there's a rustling in the cane fields. Boss, we got movement in the fields. Silence. Then emerging from the darkness comes a crown glowing faintly. It's King Julian. And his eyes fix on Merville and Anansi. So, the reports are true. My chief operations officer, my future queen, has been playing house with the spider who tricked us. She says, Julian, I can, sure you can. You are quite good at explanations. I need to watch Anansi. Your Majesty, I don't trust him anymore, Your Majesty. The farmers need me, Your Majesty. 4 months, Merville, 16 weeks, and not once did you think to tell me the truth? Lies. Larry, Biggs, Q, Mike look at each other, at Anansi, at Julian, torn between loyalties. Anansi says, very nobly, Julian, this is between you and me. Leave her out. Between us? Dude, Anansi, everything is between us now. You tricked me twice. First with your fake paradise, and then by stealing the woman I love. But I'm not the silly flamboyant Jillian you manipulated before. I have wisdom now. I have strategy and foresight. And so here what's happening. You are going to solve Nevis. You are going to Nevis. Yes, I contacted the Premier Banks. Anonymously, of course. I sent in very detailed information about your practices. You are going to solve their problems. You are going to make them prosperous. And while you're gone, Merville comes back with me. And we're going to have a long conversation about loyalty, about duty, about betrayal. Merville says, I am not going anywhere with... You think this is a request? I have 3,000 monkeys who would love to hear how their hero, their inspirational leader, fell for the spider who tricked them, who shipped them away from their home. How would that affect your leadership position? Or you can come quietly and we talk and we figure this thing out privately. We can do this the easy way, or we could do this the hard way. And Anansi says, Julian, I will go to Nevis. I will help them. Whatever you want. Just don't punish her for your what, Anansi? Your schemes? Your manipulations? Or were you about to say feelings? Like you have feelings? The great Anansi, finally caught in one of the webs he would...
He can't escape?
Love. How does that feel, Spider? To want something you can't trick your way into getting? Anansi doesn't know the answer because Julian is right. Julian says to her, come, Merville, it's okay. Come with me, let's talk. You owe me that much. And Merville, tears coming from her eyes, says, I'm sorry. I have to. My people, they need to see that I'm not abandoning them. Merville, I will find my way back to you, Anansi, I promise. And she walks towards Julian and joins the rest of the crew. Julian nods. Nevis, Anansi, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Premier Banks is expecting you. And when you're done solving everyone's problem, you and I can settle this once and for all. And so they disappear into the night, taking Merville with them. And Nancy stands there with a phone in his hand, with Larry, Biggs, Q, and Mikey flanking him, staring after her. And for the first time in his centuries-long life, Anansi has lost something that matters, something he cannot scheme back, something real. And so, the trickster who never cared, finally cared. The spider who never loved, finally loved. And the moment he opened his heart, it got ripped out. What awaits Anansi and Nevis? What does Premier Banks actually really want? Will Merville choose her duty over her heart? Find out in part 4 when Anansi goes to Nevis.
I thought you said you weren't gonna do part 4.
Well, see how this has ended? We need part 4. We need to know what happens when he goes to Nevis, you know?
Couldn't it be like just really long then?
I don't know. We'll see what happens. But stay tuned for part 4. I don't know how part 4 is going to end up, but you know, this was fun. This was like half an hour. Wow. This is longer than the other ones, but I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned.